Hi everyone, welcome to today's session, Finding Career Success in Project Management. Normally we would have our founder and CEO, Patrick Elmer, would kind of give us an intro, but he's celebrating a very special birthday today. I'm sure he's watching from home. I won't say how old he is, but he is halfway to getting a letter from the Queen. So yeah, happy birthday, Pat. Yes, many of you will have spoken to us before. Some of you will have not. So just to give you a little overview of who Learning People are. So I'm John O'Cox. I've been heading up the marketing team here for 7.5 years now, and it's been an amazing journey to be part of this company. We have seen an incredible amount of success from students. And that's really why we're putting on this webinar, to meet some of our students. So we inaugurated 11 years ago. It's 11th birthday this month. Since then, we have our home based in Brighton. We've got offices over in Dublin, in Sydney, in Christchurch. And we have plans to kind of expand into other territories as well, which is really exciting. We have over 25,000 students worldwide. As I say, so the reason to put on this webinar is that to get to actually meet some of the students that have enrolled with us and gone on to find success. And success comes in many different ways, but obviously finding a role at the end of it is one of the main focuses for us. So we've got 2 students today. We did have a bit of a technical issue with Rory, so we'll try. Is Rory, can you hear us? Can you talk? Maybe not. We'll try and connect with Rory at some point. We've also got Tom with us as well. We've got Robin, who's going to give us a bit of an overview of our career services team. She's over in Dublin. What's the weather doing today in Dublin, Robin?
It's really overcast. We've lost our couple of days of really nice sun. So yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed, I won't lie, but hopefully the sun comes back in the afternoon. It's rare here, so we really cherish it. Yeah,
well, it's forecast snow for Easter, isn't it? So it started to look like spring, but yeah, we can't have it all. And obviously we got Matt Everett with us as well, who he teams up the project management team. Matt, do you want to give us a bit of an overview about your role?
That makes sense. Thanks, Johnny, for that intro. Robin, if it makes you feel any better, we've got exactly the same weather in Hove today, so it doesn't matter where you are with the Learning People today. I think you've got the similar sort of overcast, and we've even got rain now by looking at it. But hey,
keep that to yourself, please.
So yeah, a bit of background, a bit like Jono, I've been with the Learning Company now for quite some time. It will actually be 8 years all in all. I've got experience within project management, consultations. Spent the last 2.5 years actually heading up the project management team, and the team that I actually head up all in all has actually got over 50 years combined experience in recommending project management courses, project management careers. So if you are somebody that's already speaking to one of my team, fantastic. I think that goes to reinforce what safe hands you're in. If you're thinking about reaching out, that's the sort of experience level that you can kind of expect to see. And I think the reason why the experience has never been more important is, I think if we added up all the changes we've seen in the world of project management in the last 12 months, it probably outstrips everything I've seen in the previous 7 years I've been with the company. The last 12 months obviously thrown up some incredibly challenging times and incredibly different times for 2 reasons. COVID and the pandemic is the obvious one, guys. And let's be honest, I dare say with the amount of people we've got online here today, some of you would have felt those impacts firsthand. You'll be working in industries that have seen it impacted as well. But on top of that as well, digitization and technology has impacted project management as a profession like I don't think many people were really expecting it to, compared to other industries. So yeah, I think what I'll do now, John, if it makes sense, and just give a bit of overview about where the industry is currently at from our perspective and what we're seeing.
Absolutely, sounds good, Matt.
Okay. I think the important thing is a bit of context. If we went back, say, 2-3 years ago, and did a webinar like this, I'd probably wager that maybe 80%, 90% of the people we'd have online were predominantly career changers. People that were looking for advice. You might be a graduate, you might be someone that your first choice of career hadn't worked out. You might be someone that's had a lot of transferable skills and you're thinking about moving into project management. And then we might get the odd person that would be experienced, that would be looking to maybe move into consultancy work or maybe travel and take their career abroad. I'm going to say now that there'll be a 50-50 mix on this webinar now. That's the massive thing that's happened in the last 12 months. You've got an equal split between career changers and people that have maybe got 15, 20 years experience in that profession already. The other thing that we're noticing with our inquiries at the moment is industries that have been hugely impacted by the pandemic has meant that we're probably having more and more people than we ever have done before considering a change of industry. Not somebody that's just looking to progress within construction or progress within retail or aviation. We're having people that are now coming to us that are recognizing the need to be certified because job security, one, but also they're aware that maybe post furlough, there isn't actually going to be a job still waiting for them in the industry they're in. And we're talking like finance industry, we're talking oil and gas, we're talking aviation, retail. All of these industries are seeing massive changes. And a lot of people quite rightly are sitting there thinking, right, is now the time to actually look at what other industries are out there. And that's reflected by now that currently 40 to 50% of all of the consultations we have, when we ask the student what industry they're looking to carry on working in, they're all undecided or they're unsure of what their next career step. So if you're one of those people, rest assured, there's plenty of you out there. You're not alone. And the great news for you is the advice you're going to get from either myself or my team will be in line with that as well. We're used to dealing with those types of inquiries as well. But let's say you're somebody that's thinking, is project management right for me? Well, the simple answer is to the question about why is now the right time to go into project management. Maybe you're sitting there thinking, oh, pandemic going on, there's a lot of uncertainty. Now is definitely not the time to maybe make that step. No, you need to get rid of that mindset and replace it with now is definitely the time. You know, it's an exciting industry to be in at the best of times. It's recession and it's pandemic proof. There's no age bias within project management. There's contract work, you can work full time, you've got the freedom to travel. Now we've proven that project management can be done remotely. It's a massive game changer for people. All of these things add up. And when you throw in the mix, there's currently about 40 to 50,000 jobs on somewhere like Adzuna, evenly spread out across the UK as well, not London, not Manchester, it is across the UK. Now is the time to really make that consideration about not if you get certified, but how quickly can I get certified? What is the right qualification? Because then come May, June, July, if you've taken the right steps, you are going to be at the front of that queue. And hopefully we've done enough to show you the way how you can stand out at the front of that queue as well. So yeah, it's definitely an exciting time to get into project management.
Thanks, Mike. Can I just pick up one thing? You say that project management, the industry is recession proof. I mean, it's a big call. What can you outline why the industry is recession proof?
Well, statistically, there's as many jobs as there were, say, well, more jobs than there were, say, 2 or 3 years ago. But also one of the things that people forget about the role of project management is it's based around budgets. And the budget, when unfortunately shrinking an economy or shrinking a business or shrinking an industry, becomes more important sometimes than when accelerating growth too quickly. So project managers are actually often hired to downsize businesses and downsize projects as much as they are to launch new ones. But also it's recession proof if you're certified, because all of a sudden, let's say you're going for a job and you've got the right qualifications, the selection criteria, and I'm sure Robin will go into this talking about career services, they're looking for the best people. So if you've got the right qualifications and you've got qualifications that separate you from the ones that everybody has, which we'll cover later on, then you're always going to be in high demand. It's when people get complacent or when people that have been doing project management for years and aren't certified, and all of a sudden companies won't just take a chance on you based on your experience, that's when people start to sit there and go, there's no jobs for me. Take the right steps, be proactive, and you'll find yourself coming out of this the other side probably earning more than you were going into the recession, if it happens.
That's probably the perfect segue into career services. And one of the big parts for enrolling with us is our career services team and the support that we say and we hope that we give you throughout your learning experience with us. So Robin, do you want to give an overview of career services?
Yeah, absolutely. So hi guys, I'm Robin. I've been with the Learning People since August, but previously was in technology recruitment for 2.5 years, and I've got over 5 years experience in the employability sector as well. Well, what we do in career services, we are a department within Learning People where our sole focus is to support students to become job ready, navigate the job market, and navigate a career change if applicable. And so how we do that. we've designed a 3-phase process that we guide our students through. And phase 1, we focus on building your professional brand. So this is kind of laying the foundations, the initial foundations for your career change, having you to be at a position where you're job ready, and ready to approach the market and to be received effectively by the market as a project management professional. So within phase 1, we work through things like research, building your CV, and building your LinkedIn. You will then, when the time is right for you, you'll book a consultation with either myself or Barisha, our other team member, and we'll give you a feedback and advice on the different actions that you need to take to further polish your CV and LinkedIn to both a professional and an industry standard as well. You will not be in a position where you're going to market with a subpar CV or LinkedIn profile. We'll spend the time that we need to get you to that kind of polished point. And so once we finalize that, we then progress you to our phase 2, which is all about networking. So it's incredibly important to build contacts in your new industry, and particularly as a career changer. I'm sure many of you throughout your careers up until now will have either gotten a job either through somebody that you know or somebody that knows somebody. Like the old phrase, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And it still rings true very much today. And the real shame at the moment is that a lot of people tend to neglect the networking part of the process these days because the online job boards exist. And it's almost like a reflex that you just go straight to the online job boards and hit apply now over and over again and send your CV into the void and rarely get anything back. Like, we've all heard these stories about how frustrating it is applying for jobs online. And the reason for that is that it's actually a bit of a fallacy. Online job boards only represent 30% of available opportunities in the labour market. So it's not a true reflection. So if you're going about this method solely, it's almost guaranteed to take you longer to find a job. You're just waiting on that opportunity to get lucky. So we put a huge emphasis on helping students to create a strong and targeted plan where you're balancing multiple different methods of application you've got a stronger probability of achieving a positive result. And in addition to this, there's sort of 2 sides to it. You're also building contacts and building a network with industry professionals, with project professionals that you are going to learn from. And this will solidify your credibility as a project management candidate, and also that you have many different avenues into the industry as well. So there's kind of a balancing act to be done, but it's really important to focus on the networking because we see the evidence. Our students that have a plan where they're balancing networking and online jobs, they get a lot more interviews than those that don't. Those that are just hitting apply now and waiting for things to come back. So you've got the full support of career services where we'll regularly recheck that plan and adjust it and tailor it to your own specific style and needs, right? Because every student is different and every path into project management is different. There's so many different avenues into it, which is a beauty, but can make it that little bit more difficult to navigate as well when it's a new area to you. So that's a huge part of what we do in phase 2 of career services. And once we come to phase 3, we'll cover things like interview tips, also job application techniques and how to beat the dreaded applicant tracker system or AI CV reviewer, how to get an actual human to review your CV when you're posting it on these online job boards. So there's a bit of navigation in that there that will also help you with, and also how to build relationships with recruiters and how to spot a good one, right? Because they're not all good, unfortunately. So this we'll tailor for the needs of each individual student, and you do it at the time that is right for you, and we work around your circumstances. It's also support on anything that falls underneath that careers umbrella. So we can do things like mock interviews, interview prep, interview debrief. We can help you with job offers. And it's not a limited process. We will support you until you land your next job. Yeah, that's kind of everything from what we do from career services.
Fantastic. Thanks, Robin. Thanks very much for that. So let's.
John, I just want to add on to that actually, because like I said, I mean, part of my role before I became obviously head up the project management team was to actually be a consultant. And one of the things that I think is, we've done many changes at Learning People over the last 3 or 4 years, but I think one of the things that's really transformed what we do is the introduction of a dedicated career services team. You know, I think it's been one of the single most influential changes that we've done. You know, and the reason being is the industry has changed so much. Let's be honest, certification will always remain key, but what to do with it remains king. And I think that's the thing. So yeah, that extra added dynamic that you and your team has added to the offering that we can provide people on this call moving forward. Some of the successful students we got with us, like Tom and Rory today. Yeah, the importance of that is massive.
That's it, because it can be really stressful. It can be very overwhelming trying to navigate a career change. So sometimes it's even handy to just have that person there that you can bounce ideas off, ask questions and things like that. So we're a fully support service, as well as kind of helping you with the additional career like CV and LinkedIn and stuff, you know, how to navigate that career change in the market.
Perfect. So Rory, can you hear us? Or if not, can you give us a wave? You can hear us, yeah.
Hello.
Hey, Rory. Hello.
Meet you.
Sorry, if anybody has just joined, we had a few technical issues at the start of the call.
Massively.
We're delighted to have you on board, Rory. Hello.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today. And also we've got Tom with us as well. So two students to basically just to tell us about their journey with this so far, their experience and what they're up to now. So maybe Rory, whilst we've got a good connection with you, if you could just you give us a bit of an overview of your journey with us and what you're up to now.
Yeah, so I was in hospitality, and sort of just before lockdown happened, the writing was on the wall in terms of the restaurant I was in. So I had been looking to make, you know, a sort of career change. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I knew that I had to do something to sort of give me that step into a new industry. So I decided to go for the project management certification. I have really enjoyed it. It came in terms of when I started, it just came at a bit of a bad time, because I was eventually made redundant in the hospitality job I was in. But in the same week, I managed to get a job with Morrison's, the supermarket chain. So I had about a bit of a 6 months where I just wanted to put the learning to the side to make sure that I learnt the role and I was safe and secure there. But I picked the learning back up, and I've already sort of made inroads into a potential sort of move up into the project management side of things with Morrison's. Just purely the fact that they knew that I was doing the certified training. You know, I've not obviously passed it all yet. That's hopefully going to come. But just the fact that I was doing it was like good enough for them that they've sort of opened avenues for me. So that's been really good.
Am I right in thinking, Rory, that you're doing one of the PMI collections? So you've passed, was it Prince 2 Foundation and Practitioner? So
yeah,
you have got those two under your belt.
Yeah.
Now, I think you just highlighted something that was a mainstay of any consultation. What the team will do with anyone is that they encourage you this tendency to wait until you finish your training before letting the world know about it is the opposite of being proactive. You know, it's just proof that getting your credentials updated and getting yourself out there when you start your training with estimated completion dates can sometimes be enough just to turn a few heads and get
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I've got basically two of the modules left to do. But yeah, they've been really impressed, and the fact that I think they've been really impressed that I've managed to juggle that as well as, you know, my full-time job. I think that's something that, you know, it's easy enough to do as long as you can kind of cut out a couple hours a night, or, you know, in the morning, whenever it suits you. As long as you can cut that out sort of and free up your time to make sure that it gets done, then there's more enough time to get that done.
And how did you know that you wanted to be a project manager? Was that always something that you've had a passion for?
Slightly, I suppose. In sort of the hospitality industry, you always sort of run many projects, but just maybe you're not conscious that you're doing it. And after speaking to one of the advisors, when I'd seen the package online, after speaking to one of your advisors, they sort of helped explain it to me, that the fact that I was probably doing a lot of projects in my current role, and just not realizing. So then when I looked more into it, and you know what it was about, it sort of all clicked and fell into place. So it's definitely something that I know that I've already got a bit of a background in, but it's just sort of getting that certification in that I can then you know, drive on and really push forward in terms of my career aspirations.
I think that this thing you pinpointed something again, which I'm sure this will speak to many of you on this call here. So many of you may be project managers and all but title. You've got transferable experience. I know it's an easy joke to make. Anybody on here that's done any homeschooling in the last 8 weeks or so, you're a project manager. You're probably better than half the certified project managers out there, okay? But it's most of your roles will involve project-based work. It was Martin Huxter was your consultant. Yeah. How useful would you say the advice that he actually gave you throughout the consultation process was?
Yeah, massively. Because it was one of those ones that you have to sort of weigh up in terms of, it's in terms of the investment that you have to make to get certified. It was the weighing up. Is this going to be worth it? Is it going to be right for me? And he definitely sort of explained to me what sort of channels it will open, and in terms of even just the fact that the what you're learning. So some of it is like I say, something that you've maybe already been doing in your current role, but it's sort of joining the dots and really putting that as a picture and working it better. I always found that I was very much like an ideas person, but when it actually came through to fulfilling the project from start to finish, I sometimes struggled, whereas now I feel I've got a lot more structure because of the Prince 2 Foundation and Practitioner courses. They've certainly helped me sort of with my planning and organization to utilizing the model that's within that system to push forward with that. So he was brilliant. Well, I still approach Martin if there's any sort of things I need to know, or if I've got any questions, I'll still approach him on LinkedIn. So he's been brilliant.
He said, and it's I think there's something again that a lot of the concerns that people have when they do online training is that they're not going to receive the sort of support that they'd expect from, should we say, traditional learning avenues. It just isn't the case. One of the things that we really pride ourselves on is that the only thing I can link it into, right, is when you check into a hotel, you don't just get great service from the check-in desk when you arrive. They're there for you until the moment you leave. And that's kind of very much our approach. If any one of you has any concerns about what sort of support's on offer, well, Robin's already explained massively about the career services, but I know a lot of my team still have regular conversations on LinkedIn with people like Rory, with people like Tom. They keep up to date. They're interested in some offering extra advice, any career advice, what certifications next. We have people come back to us that 5 years ago originally did Prince 2 training that are now realizing actually they need to kind of up it a little bit or embrace the new world of change management that is obviously hugely important. So yeah, I'm glad that that your experience echoes that, Rory. Tom, sorry, go on.
Just before we bring Tom in, 2 seconds. I'm interested because obviously the pandemic has affected you positively and negatively, Rory. So you finished up your role at Peter Express, and how easy then was it to transition with Morrison's? Was there lots of job openings there?
There wasn't massive amounts of job openings, but again, I had put on my CV that I was in the middle of studying the Prince 2, and in my interview I told them that I was in the middle of studying the Prince 2, which again it was just that thing that helped me to stand out from the candidates that were being assessed as well, because there was a lot of people applying for the same job as such, which I found out after when I was successful, because the pandemic's affected so many of us that there's a lot of people that were certainly from my background in hospitality that I'd been a manager with sort of Pizza Express, Nando's, Wetherspoons. I've worked for a few big chains, but people that I was going up against were all the same. They've been in a lot of hospitality chains, but now made redundant or weren't sure how things were going to go over the next few months. So it definitely helped me stand out. Definitely.
That's what we've seen. Lots of industries, particularly around retail, hospitality, aviation. We've had a lot of people come into us and inquiring about changing careers. But congratulations so far. Tom, shall we bring you in? You've been holding there.
Hi. All right.
Yeah, good. So we'll start with the same way. Do you want to give us a bit of an overview of your journey with us so far and what you're up to now?
So it sort of all came about. So I work for the NHS. I work at Hampshire Hospitals. and that I've been doing a sort of rota coordination job for the last couple of years. It was a role which I was offered to do, and it was different in the sense of my sort of traditional jobs, because before I'd been like reception desk based, call center based, that kind of thing, or hospitality. It was different in the sense that it was in itself a project, in that it was basically an outside company were coming into the hospital and bringing in a new like rostering system. And basically the position to help facilitate that on the hospital side was a vacancy came up, and then I was basically put forward by my manager and I took up the opportunity. So where that sort of fits into, the learning people in this project management course is that it sort of opened up a whole new kind of way of working, in the sense that, this was something that was differing on a daily basis. There were always sort of new challenges being thrown up. And, after having done these courses now, it sort of is very reminiscent of what I imagine a traditional kind of project management job would be like, in that, you've brought in this new thing and you're trying to help facilitate it and, troubleshoot and do all those kinds of things. So as I sort of, I've been in that role for about a year, I think, before I got in touch with the learning people, and I sort of wanted to push that a bit further. Like I wanted to, for the next step in my career, I wanted to be able to do more sort of work in the sense that isn't as like predictable on a daily basis. So I quite liked the dynamic nature of it. So when I got in touch with the learning people, that I was sort of told that, project management Prince 2 CAPM might be the way to go to get sort of qualified in those areas, which would then make me a bit more sort of marketable, I guess, for future roles in that kind of area. So that's what I did. Obviously I picked up the course, and
You've completed all 4 of them, haven't you? You've done Prince 2 Foundation, Practitioner, Agile, and the PMI element, haven't you? The CAPM.
Yeah.
So my question for you, because I think that a lot of people will be maybe mid consultation with one of my team, or somebody that's looking for advice, and they've gone onto a well-known search engine and find a minefield of information, and they're a bit uncertain. It's sort of like, with elements of Prince 2, what Prince 2 does is it teaches you obviously a framework for running projects. I love what you were saying there, Tom, about how it enabled you to have like a structure, you'd be able to sort of clarify this sort of beast that you were working on. Rory, that's why you would have stood out as well, because they were looking at you going, right, we know you can come in and work to this well-known principle.
Yeah. But
the important thing to know about what I said earlier about standing out, you will be reaching a situation now, if you go into the job market, where if you see a job that asks for Prince 2, well, the chances are that every single applicant has got Prince 2. So what separates you from those people? And I think there's 2 things here. And I'm wondering, Tom, if you could, this echoes your own education. Prince and Agile teach you a logistical way of running a project. They don't deal with the human elements of being a project manager. They don't teach you the day-to-day human skills of being an effective and strong project manager. So when you're going into an interview, the confidence that you glean from having a PMI CAPM education or a PMI PMP education, that will set you apart. That'll mean you're giving more impressive answers, but it gives you the confidence on the first day on the job and running that project. But on paper, it makes you stand out. That will put you in the top 10% of all applicants that are going for the jobs that you're going for. So, Tom, I mean, how useful would you say that the PMI education was for you in terms of building up your confidence in those areas?
Extremely. It was extremely helpful, because when I initially sort of approached the final exam, CAPM, so I think as each Prince 2 one went along, I got more confident with each of those, because they were all sort of variants on the one before. So like practitioner was, is a more in-depth version of the foundation, and Agile is sort of a different way of looking at the previous 2. CAPM for me was initially kind of a whole new kettle of fish, and it was a whole new terminology, lots of new different words, and kind of a bit daunting to start with. But then, when you sort of settle into it, you see where things kind of link up between the 2. You notice things that sort of cross over. And then once I sort of started getting into the flow of that, it really sort of boosted my confidence in that, you know, oh, okay, this is just a different way of looking at things, and this is, yeah, I think I'm right in understanding that CAPM PMI is the more worldwide version of Prince 2 or
Yeah,
project management framework. So it was just a way of sort of understanding from that point of view. So it gave me a huge boost in confidence, you know, going down that route and learning it, and then ending up actually sort of passing the exam was like that was even greater boost of confidence there. Yeah,
I think it's good. I mean, just clarify what you're saying there. Yeah, and PMI is a global body. You know, they've got members in over 170 countries worldwide. They've got close to 1 million members at any given time. And when you go through a CAPM or PMP course, it's fundamentally the same thing. Just the exam is different depending on your experience. Nothing more, nothing less. But you learn from what's called the PMBOK, which is a worldwide body of knowledge, which is a collection of terminologies, methodologies, basically best practice. And that's why I think it's, you know, but the good news for you, Tom and Rory, if there's ever motivation for you to carry on through the PMI element, is this: if you are PMI certified in your career as a project manager, you earn 20% more than someone that isn't PMI certified. You know, I'm going to let that drop in for everybody there, sink in, because the reason being is it represents that seal of approval from the worldwide standard bearers of the industry that you are either new to the industry, but you've had the best education to get you up to speed, or if you're a PMP, it's, hey, here's our seal of approval that you are an expert in your industry already, and you've just gone through the education to align you to best practice, eliminate bad habits. And it's the best way of representing to any future employer. Or if you're looking for consultancy work, hey, there you go, top of your CV, your LinkedIn profile, PMI, PMP. Robin's nodding because she knows the impact and the effect that has, and how much easier it makes her job when it comes to helping candidates like Tom and Rory.
I believe
absolutely.
I've already slapped that on my LinkedIn.
Good on you.
We've been through that.
Yeah.
Good to hear it. Good to hear it. Jono, we're getting quite a few questions, I can see.
Yeah, we've got some questions that have been sent in when people register as well. Just a question to you, Tom, then. So what's been the most challenging part of the learning so far? Is it the exams, or just actually learning, finding the time to do it yourself and then just learning?
Yeah, so initially it was just the learning itself, because I basically haven't really done any actual kind of learning or revision or anything since school, which was many years ago. So yeah, initially getting back into the swing of that was a bit of a challenge, but it's completely doable. We just need to keep at it. And obviously, you know, in the run up to the exams, those were always the kind of the sort of high points of stress, obviously, because you know you're gearing yourself up to do those. But I think if you sort of make sure you integrate it into a kind of routine and make sure it is part of your daily life as much as you are physically able to do, even if it's just like an hour here or there, or just, you know, a few modules here and there, then it makes it a lot easier to sort of deal with, because it was a huge change for me going from just sort of, you know, just working, going to work, coming home, to then adding in revision and an actual sort of time limit to do it in, you know, the year to complete the course in. So it is a bit daunting at first, but it is completely worth my while. It was, and completely worth it. It's just a case of getting into a routine with it.
Robin, as Rory alluded to as well, just having the fact that he was studying on his CV has helped get his job in Morrison's. Is that something that you think employers look for, the fact that someone is a self-starter and doing this within their spare time, maybe around another job?
Absolutely, because what that does is it shows your determination, it shows you're passionate, you're taking the initiative, saying, I am going to be expanding on my skills here, and this is what's going to benefit you. Because like what Matt said, right, when everybody's got the same qualifications, you need certain things to make yourself stand out. And enthusiasm and passion are some of the main things that you will need to demonstrate, particularly as a career changer. What separates you, what makes you different. So by, like Jono said, by paying for this yourself and doing it, let's say, amongst a full-time job, or to do it to pick yourself up from the loss of what you may have occurred during the pandemic, shows that gut-wrenching determination, and just tells a lot to your character and your working style, really.
Great. So just before we get in, did you say something, Matt? No. Just before we get into some of the questions that you guys have sent in. So for both of you, Tom and Rory, we'll start with Tom. So where do you see your career progressing? What's the pinnacle for you as a project manager?
To be honest, at this point, I can't really say. I'm just sort of I guess still kind of, you know, relaxing after finishing it because it was only fairly recently. But no, I'll be certainly looking. The next stage, I think, will be looking for a sort of definitive coordination type role, because I would like to very much sort of see be in a project-based role where I'm not necessarily sort of put at the top of everything. I want to kind of see how things are done in a practical kind of environment and sort of ease into it in that sense. And I think now that I've got the knowledge and the learning behind me, I feel like I'll be able to put that into, I'll be able to put that to use in the whatever the next role may be, and then kind of work my way up from there. Yeah.
So what software do you use for your rostering system?
So it's a software called MediRota. It's created by a company based in London called RotaMap. So they already actually kind of had a presence in our hospital with the anaesthetics department. What I deal with is mainly for the surgical aspect. An e-rostering software where I'm basically kind of the main person to go to with anything in relation to that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I've not heard of it. There's obviously lots of project management tools. We use Asana in marketing at the Learning People, but yeah, there's lots out there. But anything obviously to keep you and your team organised is absolutely pivotal, isn't it? So, and then Rory, how about you? What do you see in terms of career progression, and is carry on at Morrison's and past there?
So yeah, I'm quite excited about what the future holds as well. Actually, just with my background in hospitality, I think once the economy sort of picks back up again, I don't see myself being at the forefront of running restaurants, but certainly, working for, if it's not Morrison's, working for a company to sort of bring projects on, help bring these restaurants back to where they were. So I think there's a lot of opportunities. I think the next sort of 6 months, even as far as 18 months, because obviously it's going to take a while to get turned around. So I think, I've got the experience in hospitality, but also now that I've got the experience in retail, I think I've got loads of opportunities and loads of avenues to go down. So I'm certainly going to continue with Morrison's just now. They seem to be very much a great company with the right sort of family feel to them. But yeah, I certainly will keep my options open.
Fantastic. All right, let's answer, or we'll put to you some questions that you sent in. First one from Matt. This is from Anna. I'm in my 40s and I've spent most of my career working in teaching. Is a career change in project management feasible with my current experience?
Well, sorry to repeat the joke I made earlier about homeschooling. Imagine doing that full time. Yeah, I think we deal with a lot of inquiries from people in education. Again, twofold. Some from people that found that teaching hasn't turned out to be the career that they wanted, or people, for example, that have been in it for a long time. It goes back to that transferable skills. You are dealing with projects every single term, and those sort of skills are probably some of the most transferable skills you can have. Organisation, discipline, great with people, and dealing with temperamental people. And if the fact that somebody's included their age in the question there, Anna, and please don't worry about that. I think one of the most stunning things about project management is it doesn't matter whether you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s or 60s or beyond. Projects by their very nature have shorter life cycles. People are only interested in, do you have the skills? Do you have the qualifications to validate those skills? And yeah, brilliant. Are you the right person? So age isn't a barrier. In fact, it's one of the few professions I can see as well where the ages and salaries tend to go hand in hand. If you're in your 20s, you'll typically earn high 20s, 30s, high 30s, 40s, high 40s, and so on. So yeah, don't let age stop you. And it doesn't matter. It's just the important thing is just to be proactive and basically get on with it. If you're thinking about it, you're thinking about it for a reason.
Great, thanks for the question, Anna. Next one comes in from Chris. Rory, if you could answer this one. He says, is it possible to study part-time around my current job? If so, how long does it take to get through each course? We've partly alluded to that. Expand further.
Absolutely. So I obviously do 45 hours a week in my own job. I've got 2 kids at home, and I do the course. I always make sure that I keep about 2 or 3 hours aside a night, get through as many modules as I can, make sure it's obviously sticking, and then in terms of the courses, the first 2 that I've done so far, they've taken doing that sort of system, couple hours a night a week. Each night, couple hours. It's only taken me about 4 weeks to get through those 2 courses. So there's and you've got a full year to go through the full course. So more than enough time.
And linked into that as well, student care will be on hand as well to help out with advice. You can either reach out to your original consultant if you're struggling, like Robin and her team will, but also student care are there as well with mentorship to help with like study plans and help you figure that out as well if you're struggling. These are the people that have got experience dealing with thousands of students. So.
Great. Right, question from Shannon. Robin, this is directed for you. What experience do employers value in addition to your qualifications, perhaps in ways that you didn't expect? Good question.
Couple of things that I suppose from the job seeker or the candidate side of things that people tend to neglect, like that you're so worried about, presenting yourself as a project management professional if you're a career changer, like remembering what I learned on the course and how those qualifications mix in and things like that. But there are some just more basic kind of foundation level stuff that will, like we were talking about, help you stand out in the process. So those are things like enthusiasm, like we mentioned, right? That keen, enthusiastic, and being passionate about the industry, like doing what you're doing by doing these courses, you're showing the initiative and to get yourself further, which what I'm coming back to here is that willingness to learn. If you can do all of these certifications, you're displaying your transferable skills and capitalizing on them, and being very confident that you're a project management professional, but also allowing that space for that willingness to learn. Because if you go into something and don't have any room to grow, it doesn't really suit you in terms of professional development, right? So it's really important to be confident in where you're at, but leave that space and make it clear that you are willing to learn and that you are adaptable. I think we're all adaptable now since the pandemic. We've all had to adapt in some way, shape, or form. So enthusiasm, willingness to learn, adaptability. Those are really, really key things that people sometimes forget because they almost seem too basic, right? But sometimes the simplest resolutions are the best ones.
And another thing I might add is that we put on student workshops, a couple of those a month, which are exclusive to our students. And one of the recent ones we did was how you should interview over Zoom, which has become the norm for interviews. Are there any quick tips that you could give, Robin? Maybe 3 tips for interviewing on Zoom?
Yes. So lighting, like for example, I got a new desk, but that means that my desk now isn't facing my window. So I'm quite dark. So I've had to get a desk lamp up here that shines a bit of a spotlight on me here. Otherwise I'd be completely dark. The other is, this one is really easy to drift away from, especially in the moment and things like that. Focus on looking at the camera, right? Rather than, because we are so naturally used to, making eye contact and looking at the person that we speak to. And I suppose while that person is speaking, by all means, but when you are speaking, right under here. And there's a couple of brilliant ways, right? I actually think that Zoom interviews make it easier to pass interviews because it's like an open book test, right? So what you can do is you can like put your notes either all around you, right? Nobody can see them. Or what you can do is if you have them written like in a Word document, you can minimize the Word document, put it right underneath where the camera is, and you can read through while still remaining eye contact, and you've got all of your notes there in front of you. So that's a bit of a sneaky one, but I just think it's brilliant.
I love it. It's so true. Even when you're in a meeting, someone asks you the question you don't know, which is right, Google that, and then you can...
I was going to say, Robin, you've just given me loads of insights. Now, the next time I'm on a meeting with Jono, I'm going to be watching where his eyes are because I'm going to say, he's just doing that. And this next one here is kind of, Tom, it's one for you. It's from Ellen, because you were talking earlier about you haven't studied since school. So what would be your, say, top tip then and advice for someone that, like I said, has been out of that sort of environment for so long, and is someone that's like just like a new student looking to stay on track. They're feeling a little bit daunted in the first few weeks. What would be your top tip for them?
My top tip throughout the entire thing would just be consistency. Like, you know, you're going to have good days and bad days with it. I certainly have my fair share of both. So, you know, consistency, yeah, is key. Absolutely. You need to, I would say, even if you're just doing like a module, watching, you know, one video per day, if you really can't like handle any more than that, as long as you're doing something to kind of just keep logging in each day, keep doing something to keep it going, that is probably the best thing I would say. Because you know, you don't want to get into a position where you're, you know, you haven't logged in for like a couple of weeks or something to the online portal, and you're sort of losing your, you know, you have to go back and go over things again. So if you just keep it on track as best possible, then you're great, you're good to go.
Fantastic.
Sorry, Jono, this one's just come in as well, which I think is a brilliant question from Lucy. And she sounds a bit frustrated. She goes, there's so many courses, just tell me which one I need to do. And honestly, it's what's right for you. I know the guys have spoken about prints. Like, I think courses come in two categories. They're either ones that you need to have because you just see them everywhere. Look, prints is something you have to have on your CV. Is it enough? There's no guarantees of that. And that's the main thing. You need to have the qualification then that makes you stand out. Like, go back earlier, if you've got an interview and it says they're looking for Agile, well, everyone's going to have Agile. What else have you got? If it's prints, everyone's got prints. That's the selection criteria. That's the ATS software that Robin was talking about earlier. Have something that makes you confident. Doing a PMI education or doing change management, something that separates yourself but gives you that heightened level to your education. Education breeds confidence, right? So you just got to do the course that makes you stand out. Don't settle for the minimum expectation that everyone else is doing. Yes, it's good to have it, and you know, it's better to have a certification than none. So, you know, if there are certain barriers to doing a full collection, no, we'll work with that. But if you've got the opportunity, I'd fully embrace, just make yourself stand out, guys. That's what you got to do.
Thanks, Matt. I think we're just about at the end of the session. That's 45 minutes up. So I just want to say a big thank you for everyone for joining us this afternoon and over your lunch break, and especially to Rory and Tom. It's wonderful to hear students' successes and outcomes. And you know, whilst you're still at the very start of your journey, and there's so much to achieve, you've done extremely well in a relatively short amount of time. So massive well done from us. And Robin, as always, thanks for joining us. Matt, do you want to give just an overview of how people can get in touch if they've got any more questions?
Yeah, sure. I mean, like I said, we've got loads of questions. We're unable to answer all of them. If you wanted to send some over to me directly via email, seamlessly, there is my email address on the screen there as well. Most of you will be in, I imagine, in flight, so to speak, with your consultant. You'll already be having consultations. If you've got more questions off the back of this, or you're looking to enroll, please do speak to whoever your current careers consultant is, be it Martin or Jenny, like Tom and Rory had, or part of the wider team. Just reach out to them. We also have got other webinars as well that we've done in the past if you wanted to see them to speak to your consultant. But yeah, just get in touch, guys, one way or another. That's all you need to do.
Excellent. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a lovely afternoon.